The new gym trainer helped me stretch and then helped me forget I was married. My name is Heather, and I'm 46 years old. I've been married to Paul for almost 22 years. We live in a quiet suburb outside of Indianapolis, the kind of place where the lawns are neat and the marriages are present. Paul runs a small automotive repair shop, and he works hard. I've never doubted that. But somewhere along the way, hardworking turned into never home, and never home turned into barely looking at me. I used to be a dental hygienist. Quit 4 years ago after my mother passed and left me a small inheritance. Nothing big, but enough that I didn't have to work. Paul said, "Take time for yourself." I think he meant it. But time for myself turned into time alone. I filled my days with errands, podcasts, yoga classes I never finished. I even started cooking again, real, slow meals like I used to before the kids left for college. But still, most nights ended the same, eating dinner alone while the garage door stayed closed. Paul wasn't unkind. He was just absent. The kind of absent where even when he was there, he wasn't. We stopped touching without even realizing it. Kisses became nods. Conversations became reminders. And my body? I'd let it go. Not in a dramatic way. Just soft in the places that used to be tight, tired where I used to be strong. So in January, I did what most women do after staring too long at themselves in fluorescent dressing room mirrors. I joined a gym. I picked the new one in the shopping plaza near Kroger. It was sleek, filled with machines I didn't understand, and 20-somethings in seamless leggings. Intimidating, but I needed it. On my third visit, I met Ethan. He was hard to miss. A new trainer, probably early 30s. Sharp jaw, sun-kissed skin, and eyes that met yours like he already knew what you were thinking. He had this calm confidence, like he didn't need to prove anything, just stood there, arms folded, clipboard in hand, watching the room like he was reading a book. I was trying to adjust a leg curl machine, fumbling with the pins, when he appeared beside me. "You're gonna hate yourself tomorrow if you set it too high," he said, smile crooked. Not mocking, just amused. I laughed awkwardly. I don't even know what too high is anymore. "Let me help." His hand brushed mine as he adjusted the weight. Warm, firm, steady. That was the first time in months someone touched me on purpose. For the next 20 minutes, he walked me through the machine circuit. Never pushy, never flirty, just present. Watching my form, correcting my posture. Once, he placed a hand gently on the small of my back to adjust my angle. "You'll feel this more tomorrow," he said, eyes catching mine. But in the good way. I felt my stomach flutter, low and deep, like something stirred that hadn't moved in a long time. I left that day sore and smiling. Ethan became my unofficial trainer. He wasn't assigned to me. I didn't pay extra. But every time I came in, he found me. A nod from across the room, a towel tossed my way, a "need help" murmured as I stood confused in front of a squat rack. He never crossed any lines. He didn't need to. It was the little things. The way he remembered how much I lifted last week. The way he pointed out progress I hadn't noticed. "Look at your stance, stronger than last week," he said once, kneeling to fix my ankle position. Or the time I told him I hadn't slept well, and the next day, he handed me a printed article on sleep and magnesium. Said he thought of me when he read it. Paul hadn't asked me how I slept in. I couldn't remember when. Ethan noticed everything. My new hair color. The fact that I wore the same shoes too often. That I favored one knee over the other. One day, as I rubbed my right leg after a tough session, he knelt beside me and said, "You're compensating. Let me stretch it out." I froze. "No, unless you want to walk like a duck for the rest of the week." I sat on the mat. He knelt behind me, guiding my leg forward, slow, deliberate. His hands were so sure, so focused, not sexual. But still, intimate. At one point, he pressed gently on my lower back. "Breathe into it," he murmured near my ear. I closed my eyes and did. I breathed into something I didn't know was locked up. I felt seen. Not ogled. Not used. Just seen. That night, I didn't even hear Paul come home. 2 weeks later, I walked into the gym and found Ethan already waiting by the elliptical. He had a clipboard and a grin. "I made you a program," he said, holding it out. "Custom, based on how your body moves." I laughed. "You made me homework?" He shrugged. "Just helping you get where you want to go." Where I wanted to go. I didn't even know anymore. We worked through the new circuit together. He watched closely, gave feedback, encouragement. At the end, we sat on the mats. I was sweating, panting, flushed. He offered me his water bottle. I took it. My hand lingered on his for a moment too long. Silence. Then he said it. Quiet, almost like he wasn't sure he should. "You know, you've changed since I first saw you." I swallowed. "How do you mean?" He met my eyes. "You're lighter now. Not just physically." I stared at him. My chest rose. Fell. My mind screamed leave. My body stayed. His hand grazed mine again. He didn't pull away this time. "I shouldn't say this," he added, voice low. "But I think about you more than I should." I stood up fast. My heart pounded in my ears. He stayed seated. Didn't chase. Just looked at me with that same steady gaze. I turned and walked away, legs trembling. At the door, I glanced back. He was still watching. And I didn't know whether to cry or go back. The morning after I walked away from Ethan, I stood in my kitchen holding my coffee cup, staring blankly at the backyard. I hadn't slept. Not because of guilt yet, but because I couldn't stop replaying his voice. "You've changed since I first saw you. I think about you more than I should." No one had looked at me like that in years. Not even Paul, back when we still touched each other in the hallway just because we could. Back when he used to run a finger down my spine and tell me I was trouble. Now the only thing he touched was the remote. When Paul came downstairs that morning, he barely glanced at me, grunted a morning, kissed the top of my head out of routine, and reached for the cereal. I watched him in his grease-stained jacket, spooning Cheerios into his mouth without a word. And all I could think was, Ethan would have asked how I slept. I went to the gym again that afternoon. Told myself I needed the workout, not him. Told myself it was just a coincidence he'd be there. He wasn't. Not at first. I made it 15 minutes on the treadmill before I saw him come around the corner, clipboard under his arm, towel slung over his shoulder. Our eyes locked. No wave. No smile. But I felt it in my chest like a drop of warm water on cold skin. I turned away. Kept running. He didn't come over. But he didn't leave either. It went on like that for 3 days. Stolen glances. Nothing said. Nothing done. Then on the 4th day, as I sat alone stretching on the mat, he came over. Quiet, tentative. "Hey." I nodded. "Hey." He knelt beside me. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." "You didn't." Silence. Then he said, almost too soft to hear, "I just can't pretend I don't notice you." My breath caught. "I know I shouldn't say that," he added quickly. "You're married." "I get it." I looked at him then. Really looked. The way his brows furrowed. The tension in his jaw. Like he'd been trying to hold something back. So had I. I shook my head. "You don't even know what I am anymore." He stared at me. "I know what I see." I didn't answer. I stood up to leave. But he reached out, not to stop me, but just to touch. His hand brushed mine, and I didn't pull away. I let it stay there. Let the moment breathe. And in that breath, we crossed a line we couldn't uncross. The first time it happened wasn't what you'd expect. No hotel room. No dim lights. Just a long walk after the gym, when he offered to show me a shortcut to my car behind the building. We talked. And then he kissed me. Right there by the loading dock, the scent of rubber mats and summer sweat in the air. His lips were soft and hesitant at first, as if waiting for me to stop him. I didn't. I leaned in. We didn't love each other. We just escaped together in shadows. In silence. With words we never should have spoken. When I drove home, I didn't cry. I just sat in the driveway for 10 minutes, gripping the wheel. Paul was inside. He'd ask what took me so long. Except, he wouldn't. He hadn't asked about my day in months. It continued. Quiet. Secret. Controlled. We never did anything obvious. No texts. No photos. Just quiet meetings after workouts. The occasional touch that lingered. Once, we sat in his car for an hour just talking. About books. About loss. About why he never got married. And each time I went home to Paul, I became a better liar. Until I didn't have to lie at all. Because he stopped asking. But that's not what gave me away. It was my smile. That's what did it. One night, Paul sat across from me at dinner and stared for too long. I looked up from my plate. What? He blinked. Nothing. You just seem different. I froze. Different how? He tilted his head. You smile more. Like you've got a secret. My stomach dropped. I started using that collagen powder you told me about, I said. It was the first thing I could think of. He nodded slowly, eyes still locked on mine. Right. That night, he didn't come to bed. 3 days later, he still hadn't said much. Still ate in silence. Still left early, came home late. But there was something behind his eyes now. Something watching. I found out what it was the next Thursday. I came home from the gym, and Paul was waiting on the porch. No words, just holding my phone. Unlocked. Open to my notes app. I'd been stupid. Kept a list of things Ethan said that made me feel seen. Like a diary I didn't know I was writing. He'd read every word. He looked at me like I was a stranger. I didn't want to believe it, he said, voice like steel. But you've been gone a long time, haven't you? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. You think I didn't notice? He continued. You started glowing. Not for me. I tried to speak, but he cut me off. I installed a camera in the garage last week, he said. Saw you texting him before workouts. You didn't think I knew his name? My knees buckled. Paul. He held up a hand. Don't. Just don't. He walked past me. Down the steps. I called after him, voice shaking. Where are you going? He didn't answer. But the next morning, his closet was half empty. And on the kitchen counter? His wedding ring. I haven't seen Ethan since. I stopped going to the gym. He texted me once. Just one message, are you okay? I never responded. Because the truth is, I'm not. Paul left without yelling. Without slamming doors. He just took what was his and disappeared from mine. I sleep alone now. In a bed that feels too big and too cold. Every creak of the floorboards sounds like judgment. And every time I pass a mirror, I wonder if I'd still smile if I hadn't been seen by someone else. I wanted to be wanted. I didn't know it would cost me the man who never stopped loving me. He just forgot how to show it.